Daniel Price stood in the medical chamber and watched the alien machines move around him in careful patterns. The Galactic Council required all new species to complete a full medical examination before they could join the interstellar community. It made sense to Daniel. Every government wanted to know what they were dealing with when introducing new members to their organization. Dr. Vellerin, an archetype physician with pale blue skin and 4 delicate arms, gestured toward the scanning platform with what Daniel hoped was a friendly expression. "Please step onto the platform." "Representative Price," Dr. Vellerin said through the translation device that hung in the air between them. "This will not cause pain or discomfort. The scanners simply read your biological structure and chemical composition." Daniel nodded and stepped up onto the smooth metallic surface. He had been chosen as Earth's first diplomatic representative because of his calm demeanor and ability to stay relaxed in strange situations. Right now, he was trying very hard to live up to that reputation. The scanning began with a soft hum that Daniel could feel in his bones. Lights passed over his body in waves of green and blue, and holographic displays materialized in the air, showing readouts that meant nothing to him. Dr. Vellerin watched the displays with clinical interest, making small notes on a floating datapad. Ambassador Korath entered the medical bay with heavy footsteps that announced his presence before Daniel could turn to see him. The Vrexian security director was a massive being, nearly 8 feet tall with thick gray skin covered in bony ridges that served as natural armor. His species had evolved on a world with slightly higher gravity than Earth, which explained his impressive build. "How proceeds the examination?" Korath demanded in his deep, rumbling voice. "Quite well, Ambassador," Dr. Vellerin replied without looking away from the displays. "The human specimen shows typical carbon-based biology with standard organ placement and—" The doctor stopped mid-sentence. His forearms froze in place, and his large eyes widened as he stared at one particular display. "That cannot be correct," Dr. Vellerin muttered. Touching controls that made the hologram spin and zoom. "Computer, run the skeletal analysis again. There must be an error in the calibration." The humming intensified, and Daniel felt the scanning energy focus more intensely on specific parts of his body. "Is something wrong?" Daniel asked, trying to keep the worry out of his voice. "Please remain still," Dr. Vellerin said, and now there was an edge of concern in his tone that made Daniel's heart rate increase. Ambassador Korath moved closer, his hand resting on what Daniel recognized as a weapon at his belt. The defensive posture was not reassuring. "Doctor, explain the delay," Korath commanded. "The skeletal density readings are beyond expected parameters," Dr. Vellerin said quietly, pulling up more holographic displays that showed Daniel's skeleton in glowing detail. "I assumed equipment malfunction, but the second scan confirms the first results." Korath leaned in to examine the displays, and his expression shifted from irritation to something that looked like alarm. "What am I seeing?" the security director asked. Dr. Vellerin touched the holographic image of Daniel's skull, rotating it slowly. "The cranial structure shows reinforced bone density, approximately 3 times higher than the galactic average for species of similar size," the doctor explained. "The bone composition uses a calcium phosphate matrix that rivals military-grade armor materials." Daniel blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, but isn't that just normal human biology?" he asked. "Our bones are supposed to be hard. They hold us up and protect our organs. All species have skeletal structures," Dr. Vellerin said carefully. "But the density and composition I'm reading suggests deliberate engineering for combat applications." "Combat applications?" Daniel repeated. "Doctor, I've never been in combat in my life. I'm a diplomat." Dr. Vellerin manipulated the controls, and the holographic display shifted to show Daniel's spine. "Notice the vertebral structure," the doctor said, pointing with one slender finger. "Each bone interlocks with redundant support systems. If one section is damaged, the surrounding structure compensates automatically. This is not typical evolutionary development for a peaceful species. The display shifted again, this time focusing on Daniel's rib cage. The thoracic cage shows similar over-engineering. Dr. Vellerin continued. These ribs are not simply protective barriers. They are designed to absorb and distribute impact force across the entire structure. Some of our military species use artificial armor with similar principles. Ambassador Korath's hand had not left his weapon. Run a complete threat assessment, he ordered. Already in progress, Dr. Vellerin replied, pulling up more data streams. The computer analysis ran across multiple screens, comparing human skeletal structure to thousands of known species in the galactic database. Red warning indicators began appearing next to various measurements. The joint structures are particularly concerning, Dr. Vellerin said. And Daniel could hear genuine fear creeping into his voice now. The hip and shoulder sockets allow for extreme range of motion while maintaining structural integrity under stress. This combination of flexibility and strength is characteristic of predator species. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, Daniel said, trying to explain. We chased prey across long distances until they collapsed from exhaustion. We needed joints that could handle constant movement. Persistence hunters, Korath repeated slowly. You hunted creatures to death through exhaustion? When the Vrexian said it like that, Daniel had to admit it sounded rather ominous. The hand structure is equally disturbing, Dr. Vellerin added, zooming in on Daniel's fingers. These bones can grip with tremendous force while maintaining fine motor control, weapons handling optimization. We use our hands for everything, Daniel protested. Tools, writing, eating. Of course, they're versatile. The density of the metacarpal bones alone exceeds the skull plating of 6 different council species, Dr. Vellerin said flatly. The room fell silent, except for the humming of medical equipment. Finally, Ambassador Korath spoke the question that seemed to hang in the air like a physical presence. Dr. Vellerin, in your professional assessment, what percentage of this human's biological structure would you classify as weaponized? Dr. Vellerin looked at Daniel with an expression that might have been pity or might have been fear. The alien features made it hard to tell. The doctor touched the final control on his display. Numbers and classifications scrolled across the holographic screens. Red warning indicators flashing beside measurements and assessments that Daniel still could not fully understand. The computer completed its analysis and displayed the result in large, unmistakable characters that floated in the air between them. Biological weapon classification, 100%, skeletal structure, combat architecture Frit level, calculating, 100%, Korath said, and his voice had gone very quiet. Your entire skeletal system is classified as a weapon. Daniel stared at the display, then at his own hands, then back at the 2 aliens who were watching him with barely concealed alarm. But I'm just a regular human, he said weakly. There's nothing special about my bones. Everyone from Earth has the same basic structure. The silence that followed those words was heavier than any Daniel had experienced in his diplomatic career. Dr. Vellerin and Ambassador Korath exchanged a look that communicated volumes. Everyone? Dr. Vellerin asked quietly. Your entire species shares this skeletal design. Yes, of course, Daniel confirmed. Some people have denser bones than others, and men typically have thicker bones than women. But the basic structure is the same across all humans. Is that unusual? Ambassador Korath's hand finally left his weapon, but only so he could activate his communicator. Security Council, this is Korath, he said into the device. We have a situation that requires immediate attention. I am calling an emergency session regarding the human application for council membership. Daniel felt his stomach sink. Please tell me this is just a misunderstanding, he said. Dr. Velerin looked at him with those large alien eyes. Representative Price. I need to ask you a very important question, the doctor said slowly. What percentage of your species do you believe was designed for warfare? Daniel shook his head in confusion. I don't understand the question, he answered honestly. Designed by whom? Humans evolved naturally on Earth over millions of years. Nobody designed us. The holographic display still floated in the air between them. Those red warning indicators still flashing their automated alerts. Biological weapon classification, 100%, Doctor. Velerin saved all the scan data and closed the displays with a gesture that seemed heavy with resignation. Representative Price, the doctor said quietly. I believe we need to have a very long conversation about your planet and exactly what kind of world would produce a species like yours. The emergency council session convened within 2 hours of Daniel's medical scan. Commander Lauren Hayes had arrived from the human ship in orbit. Her military uniform crisp and her expression serious as she took her place beside Daniel at the central platform. The council chamber was massive, with representatives from 47 different species occupying elevated seats arranged in concentric circles. At the highest level sat the Elder Council, including Jan of the Wisdom Keepers, whose species had achieved spaceflight while humans were still living in caves. Ambassador Korath stood at the prosecutor's position, which made Daniel distinctly uncomfortable. The evidence is clear, Korath announced, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. The human skeletal system shows deliberate militarization beyond anything we have encountered in a naturally evolved species. I move that humanity be classified as a potential threat, and their application for council membership be denied pending further investigation. Murmurs rippled through the assembled representatives. Daniel saw fear on some of the alien faces, curiosity on others, and what might have been hostility on more than he would have liked. Elder Jan, Lauren said, her voice calm but firm. May I address the council regarding these accusations? The ancient alien nodded slowly, and Lauren stepped forward. The concerns raised about human biology are based on a fundamental misunderstanding of Earth and the evolutionary pressures that shaped our species, she began. Humans are not militarized weapons. We are survivors. Dr. Velerin activated a holographic display showing Daniel's skeletal scan alongside scans from several other species. The comparison was striking. Human bones appeared significantly denser, with more complex joint structures and reinforced stress points throughout the skeleton. How do you explain this? Korath demanded, gesturing at the display. Your bones are harder than the natural armor plating of warrior species that evolved specifically for combat. Because Earth is a Class 12 death world, Lauren replied simply. The murmuring in the chamber increased. Several representatives leaned forward in their seats, and Daniel noticed that some of them looked genuinely shocked. Class 12? Elder Jan said, his voice carrying centuries of accumulated knowledge. Are you certain of this classification? Completely certain, Lauren confirmed. The Galactic Survey classified Earth as a Class 12. Death World approximately 30 years ago, when your scouts first detected our radio signals. I have the official report if the Council wishes to review it. For those unfamiliar with the classification system, Elder Jan explained to the Assembly. Class 12 represents the highest danger rating for habitable worlds. These are planets where survival requires constant adaptation to extreme threats. Earth has an oxygen concentration high enough to fuel massive wildfires. Lauren continued. Our gravity is 0.98 standard, which is considered heavy by galactic norms. Our weather patterns include hurricanes with wind speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, tornadoes that can level entire settlements, and temperature variations that range from -40 to +120 degrees Fahrenheit. She pulled up images of Earth, ice caps, volcanic eruptions, vast deserts, and dense jungles teeming with life. Our planet has experienced 5 major mass extinction events, Lauren said. Each one wiped out the majority of life on Earth. Humans evolved in the shadow of these catastrophes, adapting to survive conditions that would kill most species in this chamber. Dr. Vellerin studied the images with scientific interest. The bone density, he said thoughtfully. High gravity would explain some of the structural reinforcement, but not to this degree. You're right, Lauren agreed. Gravity alone doesn't explain it. We need to talk about what humans had to survive to reach this point. She changed the display to show reconstructions of Earth's prehistoric periods. Massive predators dominated the screen, creatures with teeth like knives and claws designed for killing. Humans evolved alongside megafauna predators that hunted us for food, Lauren explained. We weren't the apex predators of our world. We were prey that learned to fight back. Impossible, one of the council members declared. Species that start as prey rarely develop advanced intelligence. They are consumed before evolution can favor cognitive development. On most worlds. Yes, Elder Jan said quietly, but not on death worlds. Please continue. Commander Hayes. Lauren nodded her thanks. Humans developed thick skulls to protect our brains from impacts, she said, pointing to Daniel's skull on the display. We developed reinforced rib cages because our ancestors were regularly attacked by predators that aimed for vital organs. Our spines became flexible and strong because we needed to run, climb, and fight to survive each day. The display shifted to show human ancestors using tools. We didn't develop weapons because we were violent, Lauren said. We developed weapons because we were desperate. A human has no natural claws, no sharp teeth, no venom, no armor plating. We are physically weak compared to almost every predator that hunted us. Daniel watched the council members process this information. Some of them seemed to be reconsidering their initial fears. The bone density you find so alarming is simply our evolutionary response to constant physical stress, Lauren continued. Human bones break when subjected to extreme force, but they are designed to bend first. This flexibility prevents shattering, which would be fatal. Dr. Vellerin pulled up a molecular analysis of human bone tissue. The calcium phosphate composite is remarkably sophisticated, the doctor observed. It appears to be self-repairing at a cellular level, because it has to be, Lauren said. Humans in our evolutionary past couldn't afford to die from a single broken bone. Our bones evolved to heal themselves, and they heal stronger than before. Each injury makes the skeleton more resilient, turning damage into advantage, Korath said slowly. That is a warrior's adaptation. That is a survivor's adaptation, Lauren corrected gently. There is a difference. Warriors seek combat. Survivors endure it when they have no choice. Elder Jan descended from his elevated seat, his ancient form moving with careful dignity. He approached the holographic display and examined the human skeletal structure with great interest. I have studied the evolution of thousands of species across the galaxy, he said, and I recognize the pattern before us. Most species develop intelligence first, then tools to leverage that intelligence. Humans develop tools first, then intelligence to use those tools more effectively. Yes, Lauren confirmed. Our earliest ancestors were making stone tools more than 3 million years ago. Our modern level of intelligence only emerged in the last 200,000 years. You were weapons before you were thinkers, Elder Jan said, not unkindly. We were survivors before we were anything else, Lauren replied. She pulled up more data, showing human physiological features beyond the skeleton. Our entire cardiovascular system is over-engineered for endurance, she explained. We can regulate our body temperature through sweating, which allows us to continue physical activity long after most species would collapse from heat exhaustion. We can run for hours, days even, without stopping. The persistence hunting you mentioned earlier, Dr. Vellerin said. Exactly, Lauren confirmed. We didn't outrun our prey. We outlasted them. We followed them until they literally died from exhaustion. Then we harvested the meat. Several council members made sounds of distress. That seems unnecessarily cruel, one representative said. It was survival. Daniel spoke up for the first time since the session began. Our ancestors didn't have claws or fangs. They had endurance and determination. They used what they had. Elder Jan returned to his seat. His expression thoughtful. I must ask the difficult question, he said. If all humans possess this level of biological optimization for survival and combat, why have you not conquered every species you encountered? You possess clear physical advantages over most council members. The chamber fell silent. Daniel and Lauren exchanged glances, because being able to fight doesn't mean we want to fight, Daniel said quietly. Humans learn cooperation alongside competition. We survived because we worked together, because we formed communities, because we chose to help each other instead of just fighting each other. Our strongest evolutionary advantage isn't our bones, Lauren added. It's our ability to form bonds with others, to feel empathy, to choose mercy when we have the power to choose cruelty. Those traits evolved right alongside our physical capabilities. Dr. Vellerin pulled up another scan, this time showing human brain structure. The neural pathways for social bonding and empathy are indeed highly developed, the doctor confirmed. The human brain dedicates significant resources to emotional processing and social cognition. We are designed for war, Lauren said. But we choose peace whenever possible. That choice is what defines humanity, not our biology. Ambassador Korath stood silently for a long moment. I have one more question, he finally said. You speak of choice, but choice requires options. If humans are as physically capable as these scans suggest, what happens when you choose violence? What happens when a human decides not to be peaceful? Daniel felt the weight of that question settle over the chamber. Then we become very dangerous, he admitted. But the same is true of any species with the capacity for violence. The question isn't whether we... The testing facility was sterile and cold, filled with equipment that Daniel didn't recognize and probably didn't want to understand. Commander Lon Hayes stood against the wall with her arms crossed, watching every move the technicians made with protective intensity. Ambassador Korath had insisted on controlled testing to establish human physical limitations before the Council would consider Earth's membership application. I don't like this, Lauren said for the third time in as many minutes. Noted, Daniel replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. But if this is what it takes to prove we're not a threat, I'm willing to do it. Dr. Vellerin adjusted several instruments while Kyle Morrison, a human engineer from the Earthship, prepared for his own round of testing. Kyle had volunteered immediately when he heard about the demonstrations, claiming he wanted to help and also that he thought the whole situation was fascinating. Daniel suspected Kyle just wanted to see alien technology up close. We will begin with compression resistance testing, Dr. Vellerin announced, gesturing Daniel toward a platform surrounded by mechanical arms. These devices will apply gradually increasing pressure to different parts of your skeletal structure while monitoring for stress indicators. How much pressure are we talking about? Daniel asked. We will start at levels that would be uncomfortable for most species and increase until we detect signs of potential structural failure, Dr. Vellerin explained. Or until I tell you to stop because it hurts, Daniel added. Yes, of course, Dr. Vellerin agreed quickly. Your safety is paramount. We are scientists, not torturers. Daniel stepped onto the platform and felt the mechanical arms position themselves around his right forearm. Soft padding pressed against his skin, and holographic displays materialized, showing real-time scans of his bone structure. Beginning test, Dr. Vellerin said. The pressure started gentle, barely noticeable, then gradually increased. Daniel watched the displays showing the force being applied, numbers climbing steadily, while his bone showed no signs of stress. "That is 20 pounds per square inch," Dr. Vellerin noted. "Most council species would report discomfort at this level." Daniel shrugged. "I barely feel it," he said honestly. The pressure increased 30 pounds, 40, 50. At 75 pounds per square inch, Daniel felt the pressure becoming genuinely uncomfortable. "Okay, that's starting to hurt a bit," he reported. The mechanical arms held the pressure steady while Dr. Vellerin examined the bone scans. "Remarkable," the doctor murmured. "Your bone is showing some compression but no stress fractures. No microcracks, no structural deformation at this pressure level. Most species would have experienced at least hairline fracturing." Ambassador Korath leaned in to study the displays. "Increase pressure to failure point," he ordered. "Ambassador, I must protest." Lauren began. "The human agreed to testing," Korath interrupted. "We need to know the limits." Daniel took a breath. "It's all right, Commander," he said. "Let's see what happens. Just go slow." Dr. Vellerin increased the pressure incrementally. 80 pounds per square inch, 90, 100. Daniel gritted his teeth as the discomfort intensified into genuine pain. "The bone structure is flexing," Dr. Vellerin reported, his voice filled with scientific wonder. "It's bending under pressure rather than fracturing. I have never seen anything like this." At 120 pounds per square inch, Daniel finally said, "Stop. That's enough." The mechanical arms released immediately, and Daniel pulled his arm back, rubbing the red marks where the padding had pressed against his skin. "No damage," Dr. Vellerin confirmed, studying the scans. The bone returned to its original shape within seconds of pressure release. This level of resilience should not be possible in organic material. "Now impact resistance," Korath said. The next series of tests involved controlled strikes against Daniel's bones using padded mechanical hammers. Dr. Vellerin started with forces equivalent to a mild collision, gradually increasing to impacts that made Daniel wince. "Your bones are absorbing the shock and distributing it across the entire skeletal structure," Dr. Vellerin explained, watching the holographic displays with fascination. "The flexibility you demonstrated earlier allows for this shock absorption. Rigid structures would shatter under these forces." Kyle stepped up for his turn. Grinning despite the circumstances, "My turn to be a science experiment," he said cheerfully. The tests on Kyle produced similar results, confirming that Daniel's bone density and resilience were typical for humans rather than exceptional. But when Dr. Vellerin scanned Kyle's left arm more carefully, he made an unexpected discovery. "You have evidence of previous fractures," the doctor said, pointing to faint lines visible in the deep scan. "This radius was broken approximately 5 years ago, yes?" 6 years, Kyle corrected. "Climbing accident. Fell about 15 feet and landed badly." "And you made full recovery?" Dr. Vellerin asked. "Took about 3 months in a cast. Then physical therapy," Kyle confirmed. "Good as new now. Better, actually." Since the bone healed thicker, Dr. Vellerin pulled up a detailed comparison of the previously fractured bone versus Kyle's uninjured bones. The healed section was noticeably denser. "The bone didn't just heal," Dr. Vellerin said slowly. "It reinforced itself. The healed area is approximately 15% denser than the surrounding tissue. This is deliberate biological optimization. That's normal for humans," Kyle said with a shrug. "Bones heal stronger at the breakpoint. It's just how our bodies work. It is not normal for any other species I have studied," Dr. Vellerin replied. "Most biological structures heal to approximately their original strength. Some never fully recover, but humans apparently use injury as an opportunity to improve structural integrity." Ambassador Korath was silent, but Daniel could see the wheels turning behind his eyes. "What about the skull?" Korath finally asked. You mentioned it was specifically designed to protect the brain. Tested? Absolutely not, Lauren said firmly. We're not subjecting anyone to head trauma for your curiosity. Then explain its design, Korath demanded. Dave Vellerin pulled up scans of Daniel's skull structure. The human skull consists of multiple bones fused together, the doctor explained. This fusion creates a protective cavity with remarkable impact resistance. The cranial bones are curved, which helps deflect force away from direct penetration. Our ancestors got hit in the head a lot, Daniel said dryly. Falls, fights with predators, accidents during hunting. If our skulls cracked easily, we would have gone extinct. Dr. Vellerin zoomed in on the skull's internal structure. The bone has a layered construction, he noted. Outer compact bone for hardness, inner spongy bone for shock absorption, and another layer of compact bone on the interior. It's a 3-layer armor system. Better than our military helmets, Korath muttered. The testing continued with examinations of rib cage flexibility, spine rotation capacity, and joint range of motion. Every test reinforced the same conclusion. Human skeletal structure was optimized for survival in a hostile environment. I want to test structural limits one more time, Korath said. Maximum stress on a major bone. No, Lauren said flatly. We need to know what happens at failure, Korath insisted. Daniel held up his hand. I'll do one more test, he said, ignoring Lauren's protest. But we stop immediately if Dr. Vellerin detects any real danger of fracture. They positioned his leg in a specialized apparatus designed to apply rotational stress to the femur. Dr. Vellerin calibrated the equipment with extreme care, setting multiple safety thresholds. This will be uncomfortable, the doctor warned. The machine activated, applying twisting force to Daniel's thigh bone. Pressure built gradually, and Daniel felt his femur flexing under the strain. The holographic displays showed the bone actually bending under the rotational stress. 5 degrees of deflection, Dr. Vellerin reported, voice tight with concern. Keep going, Daniel said through gritted teeth. 10 degrees, 15, at 17 degrees. There was an audible crack that echoed through the testing facility. Every alien in the room jumped back. Alarms began sounding on the medical equipment. Lauren rushed forward. But Daniel held up his hand. Wait, he said. The machine had automatically shut down at the sound. Dr. Vellerin's hands were shaking as he studied the scans. I heard the bone break, Korath said. It didn't break, Dr. Vellerin whispered. It cracked, a microfracture along the stress line, but it didn't break. He pulled up a detailed scan showing a hairline crack in the bone. The structure bent 17 degrees from its neutral position and only developed a minor surface fracture, the doctor said, his voice filled with awe. Any other species' bone would have shattered completely at less than 5 degrees of deflection. As they watched, the crack began to close. What is happening? Korath demanded. Immediate cellular response, Dr. Vellerin explained. His body is already beginning repair processes. Calcium deposition, osteoblast activation. The microfracture will be fully healed within days, and the bone will be stronger at that point than it was before the test. The bone on the display slowly returned to its original position as the stress was removed. No permanent deformation, no structural compromise. Just a small crack that was already healing. You bent it 17 degrees, Kyle said with genuine admiration. That's incredible. I don't think mine would go that far. I don't recommend testing it, Daniel said. Carefully standing and putting weight on the legit hurt, but it held. The council chamber filled slowly as representatives took their seats for the formal session on humanity's application. Daniel's leg still ached from the testing 2 days earlier, but Dr. Vellerin's treatment had accelerated the healing enough that he could walk without limping. Commander Lon Hayes stood at the presentation platform. a holographic display floating before her showing the evolutionary timeline of Earth. Elder Yon had requested a comprehensive presentation on human history, and Lauren had spent 48 hours preparing something that would explain humanity without terrifying the council. It was a delicate balance. Honored council members, Lauren began. You have seen what human biology can endure. Now I will explain why we evolved to endure it. The display shifted to show Earth as it appeared 4 billion years ago. Our planet formed from the same stellar materials as most worlds, Lauren explained. But Earth's position in our solar system created unique conditions. We orbit at the perfect distance from our sun to maintain liquid water. But that same position subjects us to extreme temperature variations and intense stellar radiation. She advanced the timeline, showing Earth's early evolution. Life on Earth has survived 5 major mass extinction events, Lauren said. The Ordovician extinction killed 85% of all species. The Permian extinction, which we call the Great Dying, eliminated 96% of all life. Earth's history is written in catastrophe. The images showed volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and ice ages that covered the planet. Most species in this council evolved on stable worlds, Elder Jan observed. Worlds where catastrophic events were rare enough to allow slow, peaceful evolution. Earth is clearly not such a world. No, it isn't, Lauren agreed. Earth is a planet that actively tries to kill everything living on it. And it has succeeded multiple times. The species that survived did so because they could adapt faster than the planet could destroy them. She pulled up the timeline of human evolution specifically. Our earliest ancestors appeared approximately 7 million years ago, Lauren explained. They were small, weak, and surrounded by predators that viewed them as food. Saber-toothed cats, giant bears, wolves the size of modern lions. Our ancestors had no natural weapons to fight these creatures. The display showed reconstructions of prehistoric Earth, with massive predators dominating the landscape. So how did we survive? Ambassador Korath asked. By being smart, being persistent, and being willing to work together, Lauren answered. Our ancestors developed tools because they needed them. Sharp stones became cutting implements. Wooden spears became hunting weapons. Fire became both protection and a way to process food. She showed images of early human tools. Crude but effective. We developed weapons not from aggression, but from desperation, Lauren continued. A human with no tools is weaker than almost every predator on Earth, but a human with a spear can hunt animals 10 times their size. Dr. Velerin raised one of his hands. This explains tool use, but not the biological optimization we have observed, the doctor said. I'm getting there, Lauren promised. Human evolution didn't stop with tools. Our biology continued adapting to the pressures of survival on a death world. She pulled up scans comparing human bones to those of earlier human ancestors. Our ancestors from 2 million years ago had bones approximately 40% less dense than modern humans, Lauren explained. The increase in density occurred alongside increases in brain size and tool complexity. We were optimizing for survival on multiple fronts simultaneously. The display shifted to show the ice ages that had repeatedly covered Earth. Every 100,000 years or so, Earth's climate shifts dramatically, Lauren said. Temperature drops by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius globally. Glaciers advance to cover huge portions of the continents. Most species cannot adapt quickly enough and die out. But humans survived. Elder Jan said. Yes, Lauren confirmed. We survived by adapting our behavior, our tools, and our biology. We learned to wear animal skins for warmth. We discovered how to create sheltered structures. We mastered fire, and our bones became denser to handle the constant physical stress of survival in frozen environments. She showed images of human ancestors hunting woolly mammoths, We hunted creatures that could kill us with a single strike, Lauren explained. Our bones needed to withstand impacts, falls, and the physical demands of bringing down prey that outweighed us by thousands of pounds. Ambassador Korath leaned forward in his seat. You speak of cooperation, but your history must include conflict between human groups, he said. Do you not fight each other as well as the environment? Lauren paused, then nodded. Yes, she admitted. Humans fought each other. Tribal warfare, territorial disputes, competition for resources. Our history includes violence between groups. The chamber grew quiet. But, Lauren continued, we also learned cooperation. We formed larger and larger groups. We developed language to communicate complex ideas. We created societies with laws and rules. The same species that could be violent chose to build civilizations instead of just fighting endlessly. She pulled up images of ancient human civilizations. 5,000 years ago, humans were building cities, developing writing systems, creating art and music, Lauren said. We turned the same hands that could break bones into hands that could paint, write poetry, and perform surgery. Daniel stood to join Lauren at the platform. May I share a personal story? He asked. Elder Jan nodded permission. My grandmother was in a car accident when she was 60 years old, Daniel began. The vehicle she was in rolled 3 times and crashed into a concrete barrier at highway speed. She suffered fractures to her ribs, her left arm, and her pelvis. Dr. Velrin made a sound of distress. Such injuries would be fatal for most species, the doctor said. The doctors told us she probably wouldn't survive, Daniel continued. But she did. Her bones healed over the course of 6 months. And she lived another 20 years. She used to joke that she was too stubborn to die. Stubbornness is a survival trait, Elder Jan observed with what might have been amusement. The point is, Daniel said, her bones did exactly what they evolved to do. They broke instead of shattering. They protected her vital organs, and then they healed themselves. This same biology that you find alarming is the reason I exist. If my grandmother's skeleton had been weaker, she would have died, and I would never have been born. Lauren pulled up comparative data showing skeletal strength across different council species. Human children are born with bones already more durable than adult bones of 6 different council species, she explained. This isn't militarization. It's the baseline requirement for survival on Earth. A terrifying baseline, muttered one of the council representatives. Perhaps, Lauren acknowledged, but consider what we chose to do with this biology. Humans could have used our physical advantages to conquer other groups, to dominate through force, and some tried, but the majority chose a different path. She showed images of human achievements, hospitals, schools, space stations, art galleries. We built hospitals to heal instead of harm, Lauren said. We developed medicine to save lives instead of taking them. We created music, literature, and art. We explored space not to conquer, but to discover. Dr. Velrin was reviewing data on his personal display. The neurological scans show significant development in areas associated with empathy and social bonding, the doctor noted. Your capacity for emotional connection evolved alongside your physical capabilities. Yes, Daniel confirmed. We survived because we cared about each other, because we formed families, communities, nations, because we chose cooperation over constant conflict. But you still have conflict, Korath pointed out. Your history includes wars, violence, destruction. We're not perfect, Daniel admitted. We have the capacity for violence, and sometimes we exercise it. But we also have the capacity for compassion, mercy, and self-sacrifice. And more often than not, we choose those instead. Lauren pulled up one final image, a photograph of human rescue workers, pulling survivors from rubble after a natural disaster. This is what humans do, she said. When disaster strikes, We run toward the danger instead of away from it. We use our strength to protect the weak, our endurance to help those who cannot help themselves, the same bones that can break through barriers are used to dig survivors out of collapsed buildings. Elder Jan descended from his elevated seat once again. I have heard enough, the ancient being said. The question before us is not whether humans are capable of violence. All species are capable of violence when threatened. The question is whether humans can be trusted to choose peace when given the Vaj option. He turned to address the entire council. We have tested their bodies and found them resilient beyond our expectations, Elder Jan continued. We have examined their history and found both violence and compassion. What we must now decide is whether humanity's choices define them more than their capabilities. Ambassador Korath stood as well. I have one final question, the Rexian said, looking directly at Daniel. If all humans are biologically designed for survival through combat, why haven't you conquered your own planet? Why haven't you eliminated all other species to ensure your dominance? Daniel met his gaze steadily. Because we're designed for survival, not conquest, he said. The hour passed like a lifetime. Daniel paced in the waiting area while Commander Lauren Hayes sat calmly reviewing her datapad. Though he noticed her jaw was clenched tight, Kyle Morrison had joined them, along with Amanda Cross, a civilian scientist from the Earthship who had arrived specifically for the vote. Amanda was young, brilliant, and passionate about humanity's place in the galaxy. They have to accept us, Amanda said for the 5th time. We've proven we're not a threat. We've proven we could be a devastating threat if we chose to be, Daniel corrected. Now we're hoping they trust us not to make that choice. The chamber doors opened, and a council aide gestured for them to enter. The council members sat in their elevated seats, and Daniel tried to read their expressions. Some looked thoughtful, others uncertain. A few still showed traces of fear. Elder Jan stood at the center platform. The council has deliberated on humanity's application for membership, the ancient being announced. The vote was not unanimous. There are concerns that cannot be easily dismissed. Representative Price, please step forward. Daniel walked to the center of the chamber, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Before we announce our decision, Elder Jan said, we have questions that arose during our deliberation. Dr. Voren, please present your findings. The Arcathy physician activated a holographic display showing comprehensive analysis of human biology. The council asked me to compare human capabilities to other species with similar physical advantages, Dr. Velron explained. I examined 12 species known for combat prowess, 7 species from high-gravity worlds, and 15 species that evolved as predators. The display showed skeletal scans, physiological data, and comparative analyses. My conclusion, Dr. Velron continued, is that humans are unique, no other species combines this level of physical resilience with advanced cognitive function and strong social bonding instincts. Most warrior species lack empathy. Most intelligent species lack physical robustness. Humans possess both in exceptional measure. Is this a positive or negative assessment, Doctor? Korath asked. Both, Dr. Velron admitted. Humans are more dangerous than most species in this council, but they are also more capable of using that danger constructively. Their biology makes them ideal protectors if they choose that role. Amanda Cross raised her hand. May I address the council? She asked. Elder Jan gestured permission. Amanda stepped forward, her youthful enthusiasm barely contained. I'm a xenobiologist, she said. I study alien life forms, and I've spent the last 3 years preparing for this moment. I want to show you what humans do with our biology when we're not fighting for survival. She pulled up images of human achievements in medicine, Humans perform surgery on our own bodies, Amanda explained. We cut ourselves open to repair damage, remove disease, and heal injuries. We use the same hands that could break bones to save lives instead. The display shifted to show human engineering projects. We build structures that last centuries, she continued. We create technology that explores other worlds. We compose music that moves people to tears. We write stories that teach empathy and understanding. She showed images of human art, paintings, sculptures, architecture. Our bones might be designed for war, Amanda said. But our hearts are designed for creation. We are builders, healers, teachers, and explorers. Yes, we can fight when necessary, but that's not who we choose to be. A council member from a species Daniel didn't recognize spoke up. Beautiful words, the representative said. But words are not proof. How do we know humanity will maintain peaceful intentions once you have access to council technology and resources? You don't, Daniel said bluntly. You can't know for certain. You're asking us to prove something that hasn't happened yet, which is impossible. All we can offer is our history, our choices, and our commitment to continue choosing peace. Insufficient, another council member declared. The chamber erupted in debate, multiple species arguing simultaneously, translators struggling to keep up. Elder Jan raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Korath, the elder said, you have been most vocal in your concerns about humanity. You called this emergency session. You demanded the testing. You questioned their intentions. What is your position now? All eyes turned to the massive Rexian. Korath stood slowly, his armored form imposing even among the diverse council members. I have seen enough, he said. And Daniel's heart sank, but then Korath continued. I have seen how humans react under pressure. I have seen their biology withstand forces that would kill most of us. I have seen their history of both violence and compassion, the security director said. And I have seen something else. He pulled up a video file. The holographic display showed footage from the station's security cameras. It was from 3 days earlier, during the medical testing. The video showed a child from one of the council species running through a corridor and tripping, falling hard on the metal floor. Daniel appeared from around a corner, saw the child fall, and immediately rushed to help. The video showed him kneeling beside the child, checking for injuries with careful hands, speaking in a gentle tone, even though the child couldn't understand his language. When the child's parent arrived moments later, Daniel had already helped the child stand and was making silly faces to stop the crying. I did not stage this, Korath said. Representative Price did not know he was being recorded. This was his natural, automatic response to seeing an injured child of a species he had never encountered before. The Vrexian paused. He could have ignored the child. He could have called for assistance and moved on. Instead, he used his potentially dangerous strength with extreme gentleness to help a creature smaller and weaker than himself. Korath continued. This is the nature I observed in humans. Capacity for violence controlled by instinct to protect. The chamber had gone completely silent. I vote to accept humanity's application for council membership, Korath announced, with the recommendation that humans be assigned to peacekeeping and protection roles where their unique biology serves the council's interests. Daniel felt something shift in the room. Several council members, who had seemed uncertain, now appeared to be reconsidering. I have additional evidence to present, Dr. Velron said, activating his own display. During the medical testing, I conducted psychological evaluations alongside the physical examinations, the doctor explained. I measured stress responses, aggression indicators, and threat assessment behaviors. The display showed graphs and neural scans. Humans show elevated stress responses when they perceive threats to others, Dr. Velron said. Their protective instincts trigger before their self-preservation instincts. This is neurologically unusual. Most species prioritize personal safety above group safety. What does that mean practically? A council member asked. It means humans are more likely to defend you than to attack you, Dr. Vellerin explained. Their evolved biology includes not just weapons, but also an overwhelming drive to use those weapons to protect the vulnerable. This is not something that can be faked or trained. It is built into their neural architecture. Elder Jan looked around the chamber. We have heard evidence, testimony, and analysis, he said. Now we must vote. All in favor of accepting humanity's application for Galactic Council membership. Lights began illuminating across the chamber as council members registered their votes. Daniel held his breath. The count climbed slowly. 20 votes in favor, 25, 30. The required majority was 32 out of 47. 31, 32. Daniel felt Marn's hand grip his shoulder. The final count displayed in holographic numbers. 37 in favor, 10 opposed. The motion passes, Elder Jan announced. Humanity is hereby accepted as a provisional member of the Galactic Council. Subject to review after one standard cycle, the chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some species applauded, others sat in worried silence. There are conditions, Elder Jan continued, raising his hand for quiet. Humanity will be assigned to peacekeeping operations in disputed territories. You will serve as protectors for Council species that lack defensive capabilities. You will use your biological advantages to defend, not to conquer. We accept these conditions, Daniel said immediately. Furthermore, Elder Jan added, humans will be restricted from certain military technologies until you have proven your commitment to peaceful coexistence. This is not distrust, but prudence. We understand, Lauren said. Amanda was grinning so widely her face might split. Kyle looked like he wanted to cheer, but was restraining himself. Ambassador Korath approached Daniel. Welcome to the council. Representative Price, the Vrexian said. Extending his massive hand, Daniel shook it, trying not to wince at the strength of Korath's grip. Thank you for giving us a chance, Daniel said. Thank you for choosing to be protectors instead of conquerors, Korath replied. The galaxy needs more guardians and fewer warriors. Dr. Vellerin approached with a small metallic object. This is the traditional council welcome token, the doctor explained. It is made from composite metals representing all member species. It symbolizes unity and cooperation. Daniel accepted the metal carefully. It was beautiful, with intricate designs representing dozens of different worlds. As he held it, his fingers accidentally bent the edge slightly,